I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
happy days. The weekend comes, a cycle runs.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is
Knock it off, you scum fuckhead.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy
days.
The weekend comes, a cycle runs. Ready to extend.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And you go stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about
Happy days.
It's just one of those,
Happy days.
it's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, a cycle runs. Ready to extend.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is keep the distance. Right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the farm.
My day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know about a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
What we got here is
And we do. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 34 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. I hope everyone is doing fine this Sunday evening. Let me have a look here and see. I know it was quite a late announcement regarding to this episode of Mood of the Nation, but I'll explain why that is in a second here. But hopefully everyone will be showing up. I see 6 people are watching the show already, which is still relatively good. Oh, so sorry, I jumped up to 8. I might jump up even again, but we'll see from there, of course. So far, we have in the chat, we've got Streaky Bacon. I await the sweet intro. Well, there you go. And also Ethan Topman. Thank you very much, Streaky Bacon. We also have, let me have a look here and see. I don't know if the... Oh, it's working now, right? I don't know what happened there. Kitchen Skillet, hello, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Canny Hinney, hello, how you doing? Thank you for watching the show. And we also have Sensum Communum. Thank you very much for watching the show, and also thank you very much for sharing the stream. And also people such as the PA official Telegram channel and Mark, who also shared the stream as well. Everyone else who shared the stream, I really do appreciate that, and thank you very much for doing so. I'm having a bit of technical hiccups with my laptop at the moment. I don't know what that's all about. And even earlier on, when I had this whole thing booted up, I noticed that it requires a Windows update, which of course is not much of a surprise there. So if it seems like I'm kind of roboting or anything like that at all, I do apologize in advance. For some odd reason, it's my laptop is just acting up for whatever the case may be. Maybe, as I said, it requires the update, but I had a sneaking suspicion before the show started, if the update was going to go ahead, then it would take quite a while, maybe like half an hour or something like that. But I'll just wait until the show finishes and I'll update my laptop, of course. We've got another person in the chat. We have Indigenous Advocate. Hello, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Hopefully more people will turn up. You have even 13 people are watching, which is, again, really good. Before I get into the topics themselves, that's me. The screen froze up again. I don't know what that's all about. Oh, hello. Johnny Dangerous. Hey, even from Darth Greenslate. Even to you too, Johnny. Thank you very much for watching the show. Anyway, I want to start off by giving out a sincere... I don't know what's going on with... there's a working right there. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's kind of like freezing up for some reason. Hopefully, it might not be like that throughout the rest of the stream, but we'll definitely see from there. So I don't know if Hamza Yusuf or Nicola Sturgeon or the SNP are trying to infiltrate, but well, we'll definitely see from there. We also have in the chat people such as Ragnar Ironspear, how you doing? And also Tony Smith. Hello, sir, how you doing? Thank you for watching the show. Anyway, let me start off by giving a sincere apology. Also, again, real quick here, or Kerr, sorry, from the PA Young Scots. How you doing, sir? Thank you very much for watching the show. So I want to start off by giving out a sincere apology to PA Scotland just now. The reason for that being is because on Thursday I did say that I was going to be going out today on Sunday with the guys to do some leafleting. Now, something came up. Of course, I don't want to get like too like personal or anything like that at all. And it wasn't anything like major. Nothing horribly wrong happened or anything like that at all. But I had some last minute family commitments to fulfill, sort of thing. See, at the moment, there's a lot of decorating at my family's house at the moment, and of course, they do require a lot of help regarding to that. So I was quite. Well, I was kind of pissed off about that because I was kind of whenever something's going on and something is meant to be dead set. What I mean by that is, like, if I have something planned, I expect to fulfill that plan, type of thing. So, see, for example, with the leafleting, if that's going to go ahead, I expect that to go ahead, regarding to that. But then something comes up at the last minute where it's like, hey, could you maybe come and help us out with this? I know it may be last minute. And to be fair, they didn't quite know that I was going to be having plans anyway with that. So I decided to help out with my family with that. Now, another thing too is that I forgot to message the guys, regarding to the for the gentleman that went out for leafleting today with that. So if they're watching just now, I don't know if they are, but if you guys are watching just now, I sincerely apologize I couldn't show up. I really wish I would have messaged you guys earlier on, again, just to let you guys know what's happening. So and hopefully it will never happen again. That was only just going to be the one-time thing with that. So any other plans, say like leafleting or letter picking or anything like that at all in the future, I'll definitely will be there. And of course, anything like that happens again, say like any last minute changes or anything like that at all, I'll keep you guys posted with that. So again, my sincere apologies with that. I hope that the leafleting was a success today. And I'll definitely come out with you guys next time with that. So again, my sincere apologies for that. And definitely please support PA Scotland. Well, not just PA Scotland, but Patriotic Alternative in general, whether it be on Odyssey or Gab or any other platform for that matter. So I've also noticed another familiar face in the chat. I think I've spoken to this gentleman before, DDJ. Hello, sir. How are you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. I think you're the same guy I was on a Scott's Armor stream a while back ago. Don't know if I might be the same guy, but I'm pretty certain it's the same gentleman. But anyway, if you are, thank you very much for watching the show. Hopefully you'll enjoy. Another familiar face, Gizzy Stripe. How you doing? What's the crack? I see they've banned the word spooky in Edinburgh now because it's supposedly racist. Oh no. This whole political correctness and even trying to, even to No Name, thank you very much for watching. Even the whole trying to appease to the minorities within our society is just absolutely ridiculous. Corona, how you doing? Something came up. Equals my dog ate my homework. Well, like I said, it wasn't like, I know it may come off as a very last minute thing, but that type of stuff happens from time to time. It is what it is, kind of thing. So, we were on that stream together. So you were that gentleman, right? Well, again, thank you very much for watching the show. Really appreciate that. Concur. Scotland is the best, though. To be fair, I can see that, especially we've won. Well, not we've won, but PA Scotland won the White Lives Matter or the Indigenous Peoples Day trophy, I think twice in a row. So we won this year, and they've won last year. So again, really good stuff. And I have heard Mark say that PA Scotland is really just hitting the. What was the phrase he used? I think it was like an old baseball phrase. It was like a hit in the park or something like that. God, I sound like a massive boomer when I try to explain stuff like that. But anyway, another familiar face. Hello, English Rose. How you doing? Hello, Chief and everyone. Even to English Rose. Appreciate you being here. Let me see. Gary Gardner's stack of ribs. How is Spooky racist? Well, I'm quite wondering that myself. But thank you very much for watching the show as well. Streaky Bacon, Halloween will be Bamey in Edinburgh. I can imagine that. They're trying to, like I said, they're trying to appease all the minorities and all of that. In fact, speaking of which, if I hold on one sec, Noel, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the phrase. Oh, one. Knocking it out of the park. Yes, thank you, No Name. Like I said, when it comes to trying to explain phrases or whatnot, I sound like a massive boomer regarding to that. So, No Name, thank you very much for the clarification of that. And also, Streaky Bacon, I've noticed in the chat as well. Thank you both very much for doing that. Instead of knocked out of the park like a joke. Oh, dear. Oh, man. So, what to talk about today? Well, I do have some topics I want to cover this fine evening. One I know that was covered on the Patriotic Weekly Review episode this past Wednesday, and I'll definitely cover that in just a short second. Hold on one second. Send some communal. Chief Moody, do you think that the alphabet people and the Wograti dress up in normal clothes on Halloween? Well, considering that for the past few years, there's been quite a number of times where people have been trying to PC everything when it comes to Halloween. When it comes to those people dressing up in regular, normal, or I guess normie clothes, if you want to call it that, I wouldn't be surprised if they were to do something like that, because they're so afraid of offending anybody, for that matter. And also, one second, real quick. PA Scotland is the best. I would agree to that. Yes, we are the best. But it's so ridiculous. All these people that are trying to just ruin all kinds of fun. Because like I've said before in the previous episode, I really do like Halloween. It's up there with Christmas, in my opinion. It's just a really fun seasonal. Well, I don't know if you want to call it holiday. Like Christmas is definitely a holiday time, for people to get together and spend time with their family. Halloween is more like a fun seasonal event, which I really do enjoy. And just seeing all these people just completely sparking out, like, oh, you can't dress up like this, or you can't dress up like that. That's offensive to these minority groups. How dare you? It's like, okay, listen, mate. For you to try and try to PC everybody, like because they dress up like a Native American or even an Indian for that matter. I'm curious. Do you know anyone, like personally speaking, like friends or family members or anyone like that who are Indians or Native Americans? And I guaranteed 9 times out of 10 that they would not know anyone about any of those people, because they're just virtue signaling at that point. Complete virtue signaling. Send some communion again, because they look like they have 364 days of Halloween the way that lot dress. Yeah. I'm assuming the word spook must have been a name used to describe a chocolate log. Maybe. Maybe it's that, but the whole historical context to it with that. But anyway, our Overland, thank you very much for watching the show. But isn't the canceling Halloween in the US somewhere because some people don't celebrate it? Sorry, excuse me. It might be that. I know they're not really the SJW types or the lefty types are not the only ones that don't like Halloween. I know there's a lot of people that don't celebrate Halloween because they think it's just very pointless, or they see it as like a way for like people to commit troublemakers and all of that. But I don't know. I guess maybe people are very different when it comes to the when it comes to Halloween and that. So my family loves Halloween. It's a Celtic festival originally, or Celtic, sorry, a festival originally. We are Celts in my tribe. That's fair enough, and I never knew that. But then, thank you very much for that, Indigenous advocate. Corona, antivirus is code for anti-white. Indeed, it is. That's all you need to know. Exactly that. Completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Let me see. I also want to give a bit of an update regarding to the film reviews for this month. So I did a poll last episode, or after that episode on Thursday, asking people like a yes or no type of question. Would you like to see? Because I did that movie review of Halloween on episode 33 of Mood of the Nation, and would anyone would be interested in seeing something like that in the future for this month? Hello, High Towers 005. How you doing, sir? Thank you very much for watching the show. Really appreciate you being here. So I did that poll. It was a yes or no type of question, and the final results were it was more yes, but I did notice it was quite divisive. I think it was about 54 people said yes, but then 46 people said no. Which for the people that say no, I can understand why that would be the case, because they may look at that and think, well, this doesn't really fit with the whole theme of Mood of the Nation, because the whole show is meant to be, political. It's supposed to be, a social commentary and all of that. And it's like, if you do like a film review, which I did this past Thursday, it feels like a completely different show. Which at that part, I can understand that aspect to it. I definitely can understand that point. But I think what I want to do is, this will only just be just for this month. I really want to do something a bit different with the show, because I had a sneaking suspicion. I mean, we're about 34 episodes in with Mood of the Nation, which I still cannot believe it's been that many already. But anyway, I kind of felt like it was getting a little bit more tedious with the way of doing the show, because the whole point of the show is basically me talking about stuff that's been going on this past week, before the episode starts, looking through some articles from the big publications like The Guardian, The Sun, Daily Record, and all of that, and just basically commenting on anything like political or social, anything like that at all. So I kind of want to do something a bit more different. Even Corona in the chat made a good point here. It's like get more guests on, maybe, which that's a very good point. I've had guests on the show already, such as Scott's Armor, which I think was episode 6, if I'm not mistaken. Then I had people had both Sam and Laura on the show. I've had Urba on the show. I've had both Kerr and Jay from PA Young Scots on the show. So maybe it would be a good idea occasionally, not like every single episode, but maybe like the second or third episode or two, I could maybe have a guest on to give their own perspective of what's been going on as of late. Although I think that might be a bit hard to do for two reasons. One, obviously they'll appear on other shows, whether it be Patriot. I can't even say this word. Sorry, Patriotic Weekly Review, or I don't know if Sam and Laura will have guests on at some point. Tea Time with Sam and Laura. I know there'll be guests appearing on shows like The Absolute State of Britain or CASOB, even like a fairly new show like a PA Talk by Cyborg, Charlie Baked Potatoes, and I think sometimes Kenny would appear as a member, but maybe unofficially, but he may appear on the show from time to time. I know they would have a guest on with that, so it would be kind of difficult to have someone who's not really been on a lot on these shows. But another problem with that would be if there was a certain topic I would like to talk to that person. Say if there was something major on the news that been covered. Well, not covered, sorry, that's been talked about recently, I can guarantee they'll talk about that issue on another show, and it's like, well, what's the point of having the guest on and talk about this when it's already been talked when they've already appeared on that show and they've already talked about that, when it's like it's already been covered. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense with regard to that. But anyway, but who knows? Maybe at some point I'll definitely bring more guests on. I know Mark is open to wanting to come on the show, because even he said to me, if you're looking for a guest on the show, I'd be happy to come on at some point. I'd be like, that's great, awesome. I know I talked to Jodie when I was at the PA Scotland conference at the start of October, I know that her and I talked about appearing on each other's shows, even though she's going to be streaming once a month now, and I usually stream 2 episodes per week. So it'd be really nice to nice to have Jodie come on the show at some point. So I'll definitely see from there, and then we'll see who we can get. Because another thing too was I don't want to bring on a guest who would be too. I don't mean this in a bad way. If someone who'd be too obvious, kind of a thing, where it's like, oh, of course you're going to have Mark on, or Jodie on, or Charlie on, or anyone like that. Someone everyone like would expect to come on the show at some point. I want to take Laura's advice, or was it Sam that said it on that episode? It might have been either one of the two, but one of them said it'd be a good idea to bring on someone who is not necessarily like a big content creator, but maybe someone who's more up and coming sort of thing, which of course is a great idea. The problem is I'm thinking, well, who would that would be the case? I see Streaky Bacon bring on Owen Jones. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna I'm sure that's gonna work wonders. In fact, I also seen your other comment earlier on in the chat. Bring Stormzy on. I'm sure that's gonna work wonders. Let me see. Owen Jones would be hilarious. I think it would be hilarious, but I think maybe he would be smart enough to realize that something's not right about the stream. But anyway, so what else is here? There's something about PA Talk. They were going to have another guest on the show this coming Tuesday, I think. PA Talk has got Kevin McDonald on this week, the living legend. I've never heard of Kevin McDonald, so it'd be interesting to see his appearance on PA Talk, because it might be blasphemous to say, as I said, I don't know who Kevin McDonald is. I've never heard of him. Maybe I might have, but maybe it's like in passing or something like that. But it would, like I said, it'd be really interesting to listen to that show, and then of course we'll see how it goes. That Times interview Mark Collett did was incredible. Full audio on Odyssey, Mark Collett's channel. I have heard of that interview. Yes, very good interview. Well, I say it's a very good interview, but I think it's a great way for Mark and Laura to record that, because you can just see the slipperiness from this journalist. Because I've noticed in that talk with the journalist, I can't remember the journalist's name, but he was the Times journalist, of course. But it's just, well, I've noticed that he just kept repeating, asking the same question, or no, it's either asking the same question over and over again, or he would ask something like a similar question to the one he already asked, and it's just so fucking sneaky the way they do it. Never mind the fact that, and I don't know how much more clearer both Mark and Laura could be, but they answer the questions as honest as they possibly can, and they were very clear in the points they were making. But what I've noticed with the journalists also, even with that all being said and done, the journalists would try and come up with like another, I guess you would say, like more like a tie-in question to that would kind of be almost like a gotcha sort of thing, but you can just see just how fucking sneaky these journalists can really be. But no, it's a very good interview that happened, and you could easily, as a, sorry, who was it that said it in the chat? Dragon Energy, sorry. As Dragon Energy said it in the chat, it's something that could be easily checked out on Mark's Odyssey channel. So if you haven't seen it already, please check it out either after the show or during the show if you want to, or even at some point if you have spare time on you, of course. Picking Gaz 1972, oh wow, Voice of the Nation's mentality. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here. I think I'm up to date with that as well. I just come out of a great musical stream. Joe Robinson, what a lad. All right, I'll see if I can have a look at that, whether it be later on or some point. 19 likes, 39 in the chat. Smash that like button, folks. Indeed, that be the case, Ragnar. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button and also share the stream if you can on other platforms. That would be much appreciated. I also noticed that there is currently 47 people watching the show, which is excellent. Hopefully more show up, or maybe that will be the peak of the show's viewership, which, I mean, if that is the case, I'm happy with that. So as long as it's over maybe 5 people watching, I'm happy with that. So anyway, Let's have a look. See, like the big chief, like his button. Thank you guys. Thank you. Who else has been said in the chat? I know we're almost half an hour into the show already, which is crazy to think or to see. And if you don't like the stream, please press dislike twice. Excellent point, Sensum. Excellent point. Get Alexander Sangmore on. He's an absolute scream. I don't know. I'll think about that one, but I think maybe that was also talked about before, but who knows? We'll definitely see from there. So, but English Weather, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. Chief Moody, more Scott's creators. Well, if you guys are fine with that, then sure, why not? I'll see if I can get more people on the show. Will there be people from PA Scotland? If of course they're up for it. I know that they can be very protective when it comes to their privacy and all of that, which I could definitely understand that. But if they're up for it, that would be great. If there are other creators, I know I had both Scott's Armor and also No Chance on the show, even though with No Chance it wasn't necessarily a Mood of the Nation episode, but still had him on at some point. It would be nice to have someone like maybe Goodfellow come on or someone else entirely. I don't know if maybe Count Dankula would come on the show, but or maybe I could have Tail Feature come on the show. But then again, of course, both Tail and Dankula are both Civ mats and all of that, which I don't know if maybe that would be beneficial for their part, but we'll see from there. We'll definitely see from there. So let me see here. Read Culture of Critique now. All right. I'll have a look at that at some point. Hold on. Let's see. So I can just having a look here. Culture of Critique. Just have a quick look at that, and then I'll come back to the stream and the chat as well. Let's have a look here and see. If it loads, I don't know what's up with the... Well, I'm on a VPN at the moment, so I don't know if maybe that's affecting the stream itself. Although I think everything's working fine at the moment, so that should be all right. But anyway, that's weird. Let me just continue on with the chat as well. English Rose again. Your streams are unique in the way you interact with the chat. It really feels like a friendly, open stream. Well, thank you very much, Open. I was going to call you Open Rose, sorry. But thank you very much, English Rose. I appreciate that comment. But see, that's the thing what I always want to do when it comes to these streams. I don't want it to just be kind of like, here's me talking, here's all the points being made, and and that's that. I really also try my best to interact with you guys as much as possible, because the way I see it, it's almost like I'm talking to you guys in a pub or in a restaurant. So it's like we get together and we talk about what's been going on in the news as of late. What's the mood? If you forgive the pun, hence the title of the stream show. Mood of the Nation. Because it's not just me that would have some certain mood or feeling going on just now. I would very much imagine so that everyone in the chat would be having similar thoughts and feelings, or maybe something completely different to that. So I think it'd be beneficial to interact with you guys as much as possible with that. So I don't know why these ads keep coming up on Brave, but hold on a sec. Again, thank you, English Rose. I appreciate the comment. Get Dangerfield on, scrub it up around here as usual. That's actually a good show. I don't know if I ever spoken to Dangerfield, but that'll be interesting to have one at some point. Everybody in our movement needs to read that. And this is something that, I think it's come up just now. So this is from Kevin McDonald, right? Okay. Kevin McDonald is a huge guest to have. I'm assuming he's the author of this, the Culture of Critique series. The Culture of Critique series is a trilogy of books by Kevin B. McDonald, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist, white supremacist, and a retired professor of evolutionary psychology. McDonald claims that evolutionary psychology provides the motivations behind Jewish group behavior and culture. I see. Okay. So that's who they're having, they as in, Cyborg and Charlie are having on with PA Talk. That's interesting. Yeah, so I got the tab open with that. Let me just copy and paste this into my notes. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Crap. Refresh that. and I'll definitely see if I can have a look at this later on. Post this into my notes. Yeah, I usually keep a notepad open just so it reminds me of stuff to look up, say like any certain videos or books to look into and all of that. So I'll definitely have a look at that and then see from there. So and I'll get back on that. So I mean, there's tons of books I really want to read at the moment, but anyway, someone from PA and NGP together would be good to see. Yeah, that would be good to see. Of course, people not just within Britain, but someone in America or whatnot, like your Mike Enochs, your Eric Stryker, Emily Eucas, and all those people. They would be very interesting to have. I don't know if it would be kind of like an accent barrier gap or anything like that, because I know, of course, they're Americans, and of course, me being Scottish, I can imagine like they don't really listen to Scottish people that much to hear me talk, and they're like, yeah, like what are you saying? That sort of thing. But no, in all seriousness, it would be very interesting to have them on the show at some point. So again, open to having guests on the show. We'll definitely see who will be the next guest coming on after today. So we'll definitely see from there. The best video of Owen Jones is the one where he gets twatted upside the head with a football. I've never seen that, but that sounds really funny. Although I remember the one video he was in. He was talking to some. I think he was talking to like a news reporter for either the BBC or ITV. And this was in London, and he's talking. And you hear people in the background, of course, people who are anti, Owen Jones, who are just like, "Owen, you wanker! Owen, you wanker!" Like, it's funny stuff, really funny stuff. That, in fact, there was something I've seen on Twitter. I think about a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something like that. It's a photograph of Owen Jones. I think supposedly from what I've seen, it's like he's like half naked, like he's naked from the top up. He's got like some kind of belt buckle on his chest or something like that. So basically what I get the impression is he's in some kind of degenerate gay bar or something like that. There's all the other guys around him, and you just see Owen's face, and he's just like, he has the face of he just either doesn't want to be there or he just wants to die. But I mean, I just think it's quite funny that, but all these people who are a certain sexuality, but you can just kind of tell that they're not really comfortable with the whole thing. Like deep down, they're not exactly comfortable with the whole sexuality thing or anything like that at all. So it's quite funny that with Owen Jones. Kevin McDonald was a character on Coronation Street. That's interesting to know. English weather. Thank you very much. Yeah, young activist on like Barclay Walsh. Oh, that'd be a very ideal having Barclay on at some point. Let's hear his take on the growth of PA, etc. That would be very ideal. Because I think I've only talked to him briefly at the PA conference, whether it be at the conference or even after when we went out to dinner. So it would be very beneficial to have him on at some point. So Barclay, if you're watching, if you're open to it, I would be very happy to have you on the show at some point. We'll see if we can sort something out with that, but we'll see from there. We shall see. Journalist with Dominic Kennedy. There we go. Tyson Fury would be good. that would be interesting. That would be interesting. That was Jim McDonald. Let's see. They won't be used to accents like theirs either. Oh, there you go. So, European Housewife. Hello. How you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. I'm Scottish but have an Aussie accent. That's really interesting. I did not know that about you. So, wow. Excellent. So that's really good to hear. Excellent, that. Dangerfield is a cringe race mixer who is major anti-PA now. He most likely would say no, lol. Oh, that's a shame. That's really a shame that people who used to be friendly towards people like with PA, but now they're very against PA. I mean, it's a shame that, but I guess that happens. But resisting the lies rants are fast becoming the stuff of internet legend. Yeah, I could see that. I can't remember the last video I've watched of his, but it's quite a while ago. So, how about resisting the lies? Maybe I can have him on at some point, but we'll definitely see. So, Dank will be epic. And I think it would be interesting to have Dankula on, but then again, as I said, he's a Sivna. I'm an Ethelnat. I think I think he wouldn't mind coming on the show, but I think he's at a point where, and I'm sure this point was made within the chat or myself on the show at one point, but I think he's at a point where he's just very comfortable with the videos he's making now. He's of course making money off of it, and anything that would come in the way, that would be very quite damaging on his part. Well, not his part, but uh, but the point I'm trying to make here with that is that he obviously doesn't want any of that tarnish because as we know, when it comes to Dankula, he can never work ever again because of what happened to him. So I don't know. It really is a big, gigantic. I don't know, but we'll definitely see. And with that, gives you Stripe. Wozy is always bloody good too. Wozy as in Millennial Woes. Again, maybe a bit controversial for some people. Some people would be very happy with that. Some people would not be happy with that. Again, it's a case of we're just waiting to see what happens. So, very interesting to have anyone on like that. So, we'll definitely see from there. From Kerr again, totally get your point, by the way, Chief. That's what we try to do with PA Young Scots. Talk about topics that don't get mentioned as much rather than current events. Well, there you go. So, you always have to try and what's the phrase we're saying? Try to not repeat yourself, kind of thing, on a daily basis. Because I know if you tend to make a show and if it comes off as you're repeating yourself, it does get very tedious after a while. So it'd be beneficial for whether it's myself or my show or Kerr and Jay on PA Young Scots or anyone who does live streaming. It'd be very beneficial for us to do. Just occasionally, not all the time, but just occasionally to throw a bit of a curveball to our audience, just so that they don't expect this to happen, and it gets them interested with that, where they don't know what's going to happen with that. So, Colette's recording of the Dominic Kennedy interview was outstanding. Anyone questioning Colette's leadership at this point, of this movement, needs to listen to his replies in this interview. This is why he leads us. Exactly that. And I think that would be beneficial for all the people who are against PA, or even more specifically against Mark, or even are very skeptical about Mark's leadership or anything like that at all. I think they definitely need to listen to that interview tape by Mark and Laura, and also with the journalist Dominic Kennedy. So, and again, people can easily see that on Mark's Odyssey channel. So there we go with that. So it's a shame Simon Harris isn't with us anymore. I used to love listening to him. I never really knew much about Simon Harris or listened to him or anything like that, but that's just me with that. So there's this terrorist group that eats and you guys eat, so we're worried that you may go on to commit terrorist acts. Yeah, it's so ridiculous, like with the Dominic Kennedy's questioning with that. So especially with stuff with the PA fitness clubs and that. So the whole point of the PA fitness clubs, and I've been to a couple of these with the rest of the guys, especially with PA Scotland. We never plan on doing anything horrible, anything like that at all. It's literally a case of a group of guys who are either already fit and healthy or want to lose weight and want to be a lot more healthier than they are just now. It's a group of guys just getting together and performing exercises, whether it be sit-ups or press-ups or anything like that at all. And maybe, of course, they would learn to defend themselves, when it comes to like combat, whether it be karate or mixed martial arts or anything like that at all. And that's it. That's literally all it is with that, with the fitness club. But this journalist, this Dominic Kennedy, was trying to make it out as if, like, well, this may happen with the PA fitness club, but you have to remember, in the past there was a group that had something similar to this, but they acted out in terrorist acts. So therefore, there may be a worry that you're going to commit a terrorist act, and it's like, okay, well, would you make the same? Oh, and this is another thing that really annoys me too with when it comes to those particular questions that Dominic Kennedy was asking, because I was just listening to the whole thing, and I'm just like, okay, I really wish I was there asking this question, or even I wished either Mark or Laura was asked Dominic Kennedy these questions, well, asking them, okay, if you would ask that about patriotic alternative, would you ask those similar questions to groups like Hope Not Hate or Antifa or Black Lives Matter or any of these lefty type of groups or organizations for that matter? Guarantee you he would never ask those same questions to any of those groups. And why? Because they are part of the lefty establishment. They are the types of groups and the type of organizations that are basically used as useful idiots for the establishment. And of course, someone like Dominic Kennedy would never ask those types of questions to any of these groups whatsoever. Let me see here. I'll read out a couple more of the chat and then I'll get on to the first topic here with what I was going to talk about before. Sam Moore is a total blast. Good idea. Let me see here. Just trying to get all up to date with the chat because I know there's a lot of people commenting with that as well. I'm impressed how Americans seem to understand Morgoth and Laura Taylor with no problem, to be fair. Yeah, that's totally fair with that. I know Laura's from Yorkshire. I don't know. I think Morgoth is, in fact, I think he could be a good idea for a guest on the show at one point. I think he's from the north of England. He's like a Northern English or something like that. I'm not entirely too sure where specifically, but that'd be interesting to have him on at some point. So I'm impressed. Oh, sorry, they won't be used to accents like theirs either. Of course, with that. So, does anyone remember that content creator, one of Dangerfield's mates, I think, on The Offensive? I think he lived in Thailand/Vietnam. Whatever happened to that guy? I was wondering that myself because I watched a couple of his videos on The Offensive, and there was one video he talked about the video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the one that came out in 2019, I think, like the fairly new Modern Warfare game. He was talking about how, like, on one part it's quite like a better game than the previous installments of the Call of Duty franchise, but he also makes points about in that game there's a lot of very modern, very PC, very lefty type of propaganda thrown within the game itself. And I really enjoyed that video because I never had those same opinions when it comes to the game itself because I played it and I'm just thinking, right, it's a good game, but there's something about it that kind of rubs me the wrong way, but I'd never really understood why that was. And then I watched On the Offensive's video about it and I'm just thinking, yes, that's exactly what was the problem with the game. So I don't know exactly what happened to On the Offensive because I know he was quite around a lot when it comes to PA or even ethno nationalism for that. So I don't know if he's okay or not, but it'd be nice. Maybe it'd be nice to have him on the show at some point if he's still doing content creating for that matter. So we'll see. Owen Jones topless. Well, I will be passing on tea tonight. Oh dear. Barkley is a great kid. From what I've spoken to the guy, he seems like a really good guy to talk to. So I'll definitely see if I can have him on at some point. The Reaver has gone form things. There we are. Afternoon. Oh, Felix Boru, thank you very much for watching the show. How you doing? Bloody miss Reaver. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Reaver, but I don't know if he's still around doing content making or anything like that at all. But I used to watch his stuff occasionally with that. So On the Offensive has retired from the scene. Right. Well, there we go. Godrod controversy with Woz, has that been cleared up? Assuming it has been cleared up. Although when that whole thing happened, I remember all the Sith-Nats were talking about, oh, look at Millennial Woes and all these ethno-Nats. They're basically gigantic hypocrites. Basically Sith-Nats acting like a bunch of fence-sitting bunch of douchebags and all of that. Which is kind of funny because there was one stream in particular I'm referring to about this. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this content creator before, but he's basically one of those Sargonite types, basically like on their knees sucking the dick of Sargon of Akkad. He used to go by the name of Charming Man 93 or just simply Mitch at this point. He was a guy I used to get along with quite well. I mean, we talk in passing and all of that, but then ever since I came out as an ethno-nationalist, and then, of course, later on being a supporter of PA, he just completely forgetting like this. He's completely disowned me after that. Never wanted to follow me on Twitter ever again. Never wants to talk to me ever again with that. So, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess because I'm now an Ethnomat, that means that you can no longer talk to me after that. But okay, fair enough. Real, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. I like volcanoes. How you doing as well? Thank you very much for watching the show as well. Another ideal guest to have on the show would be Daughter of Albion. That would be a very interesting guest to have on at some point. Yeah, that Mark interview was outstanding. Listen to it, folks. Yeah, definitely do listen to it, folks. Mark is a great leader. Indeed, he is. I agree with that, European housewife. Fantastic interview. I was buzzing, indeed. I generally blurred, no glasses yet. Get your lad 911 on here. We need to link all these things up. You don't have to be singing from the same hymn sheet. How about Brick Girl? Yeah, I can definitely see with that regarding to that as well. So we'll definitely see with that. You do the exercises. I pluck the Gita for you. Just shows how deceiving the press are. Oh, yes, that whole interview with Dominic Kennedy just really goes to show just how completely scummy these journalists really are. I mean, you can answer any of their questions as honest as you possibly can and try to make the point very clear to them, but they'll always find a way to try and make some kind of like gotcha type of question. You know, it's really sneaky. That really is sneaky. That English Rose again. Mr. Collett is an excellent leader, as is Laura. The interview was very impressive. Indeed, it was. Indeed, it was. Let me see what else. Streaky Bacon. Chief Moody. Apparently, the MP that suffered multiple stabbings was beheaded, but we are not allowed to know this. I have heard many things about that attack, which of course was horrible what happened, and that was something I was going to talk about tonight, because obviously that happened. I think it happened on Friday or Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the 2 days throughout this week, because I know I was at work at the time, listened to it on the news. So I won't talk about that tonight, but I'll see if I can read up more about it, just so in case if there's more information coming out, and I'll see if I can talk about that on Thursday's episode with episode 35, and then we'll definitely go over that case bit by bit, because at the moment, as I said, I've only heard maybe a couple things about it, and that's it. I know there was a funeral held for that MP, and I know people like Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer appeared at the funeral, so I won't talk about that just yet. I'll leave that until Thursday's episode. Once that I get more knowledge about the case itself. So, because I know there's been many people giving out different scenarios, different takes on the whole case. So I'm gonna see if I can look through that bit by bit, and then we'll see. We can talk about that on episode 35. We'll see from there. Loved it when Mark mentioned that Corbyn and Livingston, etc., had busts of Mark and Lenin in their offices. Yeah. Well, again, it's that blatant double standard. You know, communism. Oh, well, that's great. That's the ideal ideology for people to believe and to follow. You know, don't follow like fascism or like nationalism or anything like that. That's deemed as bad. You know, you like, and you're a bad person for following those ideologies. But following an ideology like communism or Marxism that's killed 100 million people throughout the years, no, that's totally fine. You know, you could be a communist or a Marxist if you want. That's the ideal ideology to follow within any society. But never mind the fact that it never works, whatever. But no, those are ideas to listen to. Like Morgoth's almost a Geordie. From what I've heard, he has that kind of Geordie type of accent. But anyway, so I need on that DOA college stream. I remember Mitch. He just didn't quite get it. Yeah. Well. What Tyler 1381? How you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. And also we have. Feel free to like the stream. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, English Rose. Please, if you haven't done so already, please curb stomp that like button and also share the stream if you can. That would be very great. Or like the stream. Wesley from Renewed Britannia is an intelligent and interesting lad. He would be very ideal to have on the show at some point. I think I've only talked to him maybe like once on whose stream was that I was on one time. Was it No Chance's stream I was on? Or was it someone else? I can't quite remember. But I remember I talked to him like the one time, and I'd be interested to have him on at some point. So we also have Aunt Sally on the show. How you doing, Aunt Sally? As far as I know, Hugh OT, or On the Offensive, is still in Vietnam with his wife. I met him at the first PA conference in 2019. Excellent. Well, from in the chat, what was mentioned, he seemed to have retired from this movement or anything like that at all. So, which is a shame, but I can maybe understand why he would want to retire from that. But he's taking time out, right? So he's retired, but maybe taking a bit of time out. All right, fair enough. So hopefully, like what happened with Iconoclast, they leave for a while, but then they'll come back. So hopefully he'll come back at some point. So we'll definitely see from there. We shall see. Right, okay, here. I know I've said earlier on I've got some topics to cover, which I'll definitely cover that in just a moment with that. So I'll collab stream. There we go. Thank you for reading my comment and fake name out. No worries. I like volcanoes. You're very welcome with that. Kennedy is a regime rat. He definitely comes off as that with regard to that journalist. So very much so. Let me see here. We know Barkley and Reaver because of who a field like Danger. David, refugees are welcome. Ames, or Amis, if you want to pronounce it, pisses me off. Are great people running each other down. It must be a lack of God. In my book, it might be that, but maybe it could be something completely different. But possibly in this case, it might be that. So we'll smash the Reds. Yeah, I agree. In Minecraft. So I am glad an MP got instead of one of us. Well, I don't wish any harm or death to anyone for that matter, but it's a shame that happened to what happened to this MP. So I'll definitely look into that more before we get to Thursday's episode and see from there. So indeed, since Ronald Reagan understood these commie bastards, West used to have such a good show on a Sunday evening on YT. I think he's still doing a show on DLive with I don't know if it's meant to be just his own show or is it Nefarious or Notorious or the name of the show, but it's basically West does a live stream with No Chance from time to time. So anyway, the other lad, Harry is in from the True K show. That would be very interesting guest to have on. Yeah, Harry is a great lad when he stood up in the crowd to address that turning point tosser. A very clever lad, Harry. Yeah, I remember Harry did a debate with two liberal types of, or two liberals from like. There were also like content creators on YouTube as well, but and they did a debate on Simon Sideways, or Reverend Simon Sideways' channel back, I think it was last year or the year before. But basically, what turns out that Harry completely owned the two lads, but the two lads clearly they were not interested with the overall debate and decided to leave the debate like absolute cowards that they were. I don't know if anyone maybe knows what I'm on about, but it was a debate. It's no longer on Simon's channel anymore, but it was a debate that I watched after it first aired. And I remember just thinking just how embarrassing it was for the two guys, the two liberals who appeared on the debate, and yet just absolutely fled away like absolute cowards that they were. So Turning Point are Zionists. I would agree to that. Whether it be Turning Point UK or Turning Point USA, they do not care about America or the UK for that matter. So I do agree with that. Right, I think what I'll do is I'll move on to the first topic, because I actually cannot believe like I'm talking to you guys in the chat and we're almost an hour into the show already, which is absolutely crazy. So it really goes to show that time flies when you're having fun. So there we go. let me just get the first topic at hand here, and then we'll discuss with that. Let me see. Is this one on IGN? Now, I know this was talked about on PWR this past Wednesday by Mark, Jason, and also there was another guest on whose name escapes me with that, but I know they talked about this. I don't know, I might have actually missed this segment, but we're going to talk about this. This is something that came on the news. Even I've heard about this news at my work on the radio, which I didn't think it would be that major of a news story, but let me just pause that and get to here in a sec. And then I'll go ahead and I'll share the screen. It's this news story right here. Exclusive. DC's new Superman, John Kent, comes out as bisexual. The new Man of Steel is on a journey of self-discovery, which, is anyone really that surprised? I mean, of course, Marvel and DC are the biggest comic book companies in the world. Obviously, they're trying to appease the woke agenda when it comes to changing up their characters to be all current times and trying to be all politically correct and whatnot, despite the fact this Superman that comes out as bisexual is not the classic, Clark Kent we all know and love, but instead it's his son John Kent, who's John Kent being the son of course, Clark Kent in the comics and also Lois Lane. This is something that's in the current mainstream continuity within the DC comics universe. Now, of course, I used to, a bit of a Chief Moody lore here, I used to read comics back in the day. I think when I first started reading comic books, like properly reading comic books when I was about maybe like 18 or something like that, just after like high school and whatnot. And of course, that was a point where I became like a proper geek and nerd. But then, of course, after that, I've learned the error of my ways. And I decided just to give up comics after that. Because I think at this point, as much as a big money-making franchise or industry, well, especially when it comes to like the movie industry, because there's so many films based off of comic book properties, whether it be Marvel or DC, well, especially Marvel with the Marvel Studio films, the Avengers and whatnot. I've just kind of had this realization that as fun to read and great to watch all these films are, and the comic books are, I just kind of realized that all the stuff is really meant to be for kids. It's like the superhero genre type of works, they're ultimately for kids. I know there's an argument to be made that they could be for adults as well, especially if you read stuff like Watchmen or the Dark Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, and all of that. But to me, when it comes to like the superhero genre, with stuff like you see in Marvel and DC, whether it be Superman, Batman, the Justice League and all of that, or on the Marvel side, you've got the Avengers, you've got Spider-Man, the X-Men and whatnot, all that stuff. And I used to be a fan of that stuff, but no more. To me, it just comes off as kids stuff. And I think people need to realize that it should be still looked at as like a more like a child's media, like kind of like a child's medium, and not like something that both kids and adults can enjoy. I mean, it should be something that children just themselves to like maybe enjoy with that. So. But and I know whenever you make that point to these people, the adults who engage in comics or these types of films all the time, I know they could be like very dickish about it. In fact, there was actually one video I watched with an actor by the name of Freddie Prinze Jr., I think. He's like an old 90s actor who used to appear in a lot of films. In fact, he played Fred in the live-action Scooby-Doo movie back in 2002, and also the sequel. Yeah, that actor. He was on a podcast talking about Star Wars and how, as much as he enjoyed, voice acting for one of the animated shows, he still realizes that Star Wars is supposed to be a kid's franchise. Even making fun of people like the grown-ups who didn't like the prequel trilogy, and it's like, look, the only reason why you don't like the prequel trilogy is because they're not done in the same way as you were when you were a kid. Times change. Like generation of kids change and all of that. at the end of the day, Star Wars is still technically a kid's franchise. And whenever that point is ever being made, as I said, these people, these like nerdy types, well, the fake geeks and nerds and all of that, they could act very defensive about it. It's almost like as if they don't want to get rid of that sense of like childhood or anything like that at all. But anyway, I know it seems like I'm kind of rambling on with this, but that's just a bit of a background to where I'm at now when it comes to this type of stuff with like comics and films and whatnot. I would say I'm still a bit of a fan of films, or I appreciate cinema, but I wouldn't say I'm like as much of an uber nerd as it maybe was back in the day. And all the stuff when it comes to like comics and all the Marvel studio films, I just don't really care anymore at this point. I mean, the last Marvel film I went to see was Avengers Endgame, and that was it. No, sorry, it wasn't that. Sorry, it was Spider-Man Far From Home, because that was supposed to be viewed as like an epilogue to Avengers Endgame, and that's it. I've never watched any of the stuff from Disney Plus. I've not watched any of the new shows like Loki or WandaVision or anything like that at all. I've no real interest in seeing the new Spider-Man film that's going to be coming out, or even the new Doctor Strange movie coming out. I've not seen Shang-Chi because I really have no interest in seeing that. Like I said, I've just kind of given up on that stuff, you know, and I just really just moved on from that, because I think at this point it should be looked at more as like just kid stuff when it comes to the superhero stuff. But anyway, I'll just move on from that and get on to the actual topic itself here, because now it seems with the current comic book industry, especially when it comes to DC, both Superman and Lois Lane in the mainstream comic book continuity, they had a son, in this case being John Kent, who's now going to be the new Superman within this ongoing continuity. I don't know what's going on with Superman. I don't know whether or not if he's going away or trying to go back to Krypton, or I really have no idea. But basically, John Kent is the new Superman. I think there's okay. Well, basically, it's a new Superman within the comics universe. So, but now it's come out as bi. Now, I remember when it was first announced, it wasn't the fact that he was bi, but it came out as like we're going to make him completely gay. So he was interested in men, and that was it. But then, of course, DC saw the bit of the backlash to this announcement, because I guess they thought that all the big fans they thought that it was actually meant to be the classic Clark Kent Superman who was coming out as gay. But then DC were just like, oh, no. Well, it's not Clark Kent Superman, it's the John Kent Superman. But not only that, not only is the fact that he's not actually gay, but it's the fact that he's actually bisexual. So don't worry, he likes both men and women, which I guess, because that makes it so much better in this case, right? It's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, let me get into this video here, because it's only just like a minute and 1 second long. So we'll have a look at this, and then we'll read through the article in full. So let's have a look here and see. Oh, what the fuck? Replay. There we go. Hopefully that might be... there we go. If you could bear with the image... Warning, plus spoilers for Superman, Son of Kal-El, issues 4 and 5 ahead. I don't fucking care. Current Superman, John Kent and Jay Nakamura are so basically, I guess, maybe like a biracial character as well. So twice the diversity and whatnot. Okay, will share their first kiss in issue 5 within the comics. Okay, cool. Well, obviously it's degenerate, but still. Tom Tyler, DC Comics writer. Over the years in this industry, it probably won't surprise you to hear I've had queer characters and storylines rejected. I felt like I was letting down people I loved every time this happened, but they don't really read this stuff. All right. I've always said everyone needs heroes and everyone deserves to see themselves in their heroes. Today's Superman, the strongest superhero on the planet, is coming out, despite the fact it's not the actual Clark Kent classic Superman, but instead it's his son, John Kent, but we'll let that slide. We'll let that slide. So the point is that they're not really fully committed to that. But anyway, there are comparisons to be drawn between this relationship and the classic Lois Lane and Clark Kent dynamic. Oh, here we fucking go. In fact, there's a film reviewer I've seen on Twitter trying to defend this type of stuff. John Campia, who was was making fun of people who have criticisms of this announcement, it's all political agenda. You're trying to push like a lefty agenda and all of that, and then it's like, John Campion would make a point about, well, if you're against this, then why is it that you're completely fine of heterosexual couples in comics, and that's completely fine. Which I'll get to that in just a short second. We'll just finish off the video and then see from there. So, however, Jay has his own fight and plays a more proactive role in the Superman's world. Okay. Another reveal coming up in Son of Kal-El is that Jay himself has superhuman powers, and who cares? Nobody, I guess. 2021. Okay, that's fantastic, I guess. But yeah, so there seems to be this argument of all these people who are very supportive of this announcement within the comics. Well, we need more diversity within these comic books. It's like, look, it's so clearly obvious what's happening here. You're trying to set up a political agenda, and you're trying to dismantle the classical family unit or the nuclear family unit. That's exactly what it comes down to. Like, you don't really give a damn about gay people or anything like that at all. You're just using them as like purse puppies to promote a certain political agenda, which I know that's not very like an original point to me, but that's exactly what's going on here. And I would imagine something like, of course, IGN being supportive of this, as we can see here. The comic book industry has worked to increase LGBTQ plus representation in recent years, and DC is taking a major step forward in 2021. IGN can exclusively reveal that the current Superman, John Kent, is coming out as bisexual in the upcoming Superman Son of Kal-El issue 5. For those not up to date on the current DC line, John officially inherited the mantle of Superman from his father following the events of the Future State crossover. While Action Comics explores Clark Kent's adventures off-world, the recently launched Superman Son of Kal-El focuses on the 17-year-old John as he grapples with the biggest responsibility of his young life. But at least he has someone new to share that life with. Fans of the series probably... Hold on one sec, I think it's still connected to the video. Oh, here we go. Fans of the series probably won't be surprised to learn John is entering into a relationship with Jay Nakamura, a hacktivist who idolizes John's mother, Lois, and has already lent his new friend a helping hand. And as this image shows, the two friends will become something more when they share their first kiss in issue 5. So I'm assuming in this comic they barely know each other, but they've fallen in love after that. Like, oh, okay. I'm imagining this is the quote we've read regarding what was in the video already, so there's no point in reading that. This also plays into another reveal coming up in Son of Kal-El. Jay himself has superhuman powers, making him both an invaluable ally to the new Superman and a companion for a young man who's never had much of a chance to build a life for himself in the regular world. Due to John's shifting age and spending time in the future, John doesn't really have any friends in the present day who are his own age. Tyler says he doesn't have his own cast. He has a best friend in Damian. Damian, I'm assuming he's talking about Batman's son, who's in the mainstream continuity, from what I remember, who remain integral in our series. But it was important to me that we gave John another close confidant and someone who can support him. What was most important was making Jay Nakamura formidable in his own right, finding the balance in their relationship so they could be equals, rather than having Jay to be reliant to John. Okay, this is why Jay's own powers are revealed in issue 4, and we learn he can't be harmed. That means, so basically they made him like a Gary Stu type, or whatever the case may be with that. That means of everyone's in John's life, Jay is the only person John doesn't need to protect. It means their relationship is an equal one built on mutual support. Both creators are well known for their work with Harley Quinn, Taylor in the pages of Injustice Gods Among Us, and Tim's drawing numerous issues of Harley's monthly series. Given that Harley was probably DC's most high-profile LGBT character, prior to this news, we were curious if their experiences with the character has informed their work developing John and Jay's relationship. To write as openly bisexual. Jesus Christ. Just get fucked with this stuff. This latest twist is all part of John Kent's large journey in the DC universe in 2021 and beyond. Can he truly live up to his father's legacy? Can he find the balance between costume and civilian lives that's proven so elusive so far? And perhaps most importantly, can he figure out what kind of Superman the world needs now? Let me see. I think Clark said it best when he left Earth in John's hands. Clark was the Superman of tomorrow. John is the Superman for the days after. Tyler says, the question for John and for our creative team is, what should a new Superman fight for today? Can a 17-year-old Superman battle giant robots while ignoring the climate crisis? So basically they're making John Kent like a complete leftist type of character. Like that's something I would definitely would want to read when I was still reading comic books back in the day. Jesus Christ. Sorry. The Lord's name in vain. I do apologize for that. But my God. Of course not. Can someone with super sight and super hearing ignore injustice beyond his borders? Can he ignore the plight of asylum seekers? Oh my God. Tyler continues, when asking these questions, it's important to acknowledge that John isn't just the son of Kal-El, he's also the son of Lois Lane. John is the son of the fiercest, most effective journalist on the planet. With that comes a strong sense of right and wrong, an instinctive dislike of corruption, and a strong desire for the truth to win over misinformation. So basically, he's also going to be tackling fake news, apparently, like, or maybe like fake news in the sense of like right-wing news or something like that. It's just, it's so transparent. It's so obvious what they're trying to do here. It's just absolutely cringeworthy, this type of stuff. But John is young and passionate, and sometimes how he tackles things will be a bit heavy-handed. A bit heavy-handed? Give me a break here. And just like that, we see in our world, when young people speak truth to power, it ruffles the feathers of certain older people who are used to being the loudest voice in the room. Get the fuck. See, this whole thing about, oh, we're trying to write a character who's like anti-establishment and all of that. It's like, mate, not only are you writing a character who's actually part of the establishment, but you yourself, you're part of the fucking establishment. You're not anti-establishment or trying to write the like trying to make a point about, oh, this is so like going against the the normality within our society. No, you're part of the normality. What the fuck are you on about? I hate these people that come out of the woodwork and say like, oh, like fuck the corporations. We want more reparations within our society. It's like, mate, it's already happening with that. I mean, look at groups like Black Lives Matter. Every single corporation that you know and I know were in full support of Black Lives Matter. So you're not anti-establishment. You are the establishment. Who the fuck are you kidding here? Apologies for the language, but it's so irritating, this type of stuff. Really is irritating, this stuff. So that's the end of the article with that. Again, I've seen other people talking about this, your Nat types, the Quartrings, your Sargons and all of that, talking about the same shtick about, get woke, grow broke. It's like, look, guys, do you really think for a second that these companies care about what you actually think about about this type of stuff? It's just like what I mean by that is that, oh, just don't buy the comics, and then that way it's good. Like basically the whole argument of like don't give them any money, then it's going to actually tell the companies that people are not interested. Look, we've tried that before. We've said to people, don't buy these. They're setting a political agenda here. Like, if you don't give them any money, then they will listen to the customer. At this point in time, guys, these companies do not care if you like this or not. They will push this down your throat whether you like it or not. And all these people are talking about how, oh, well, go get woke, go broke. This is just going to make them go bankrupt. You realize that DC Comics is owned by Warner Brothers, and that way owned by Time Warner. You realize that Marvel Comics is owned by, at this point in time, owned by Disney, which is one of the biggest companies on the fucking planet. I mean, I think it was like maybe a couple of years back, Disney bought out, was it 20th Century Fox or some studio like that? It's just like, you really think the whole get woke, go broke actually means anything to these companies? Of course not. They will ram this stuff down your throat because it's the whole point of that is trying to promote a much more sinister agenda. They're taking everything that you know and love, whether it be like comic books or anything to do with the media, because it's part of like the bigger agenda. It's dismantling the systematic norms that we all know. It's trying to dismantle everything that you know about, say, society, the family unit, or anything like that at all. It's trying to dismantle all of that. That's the whole purpose of that. Like, so say, for example, this happened even like a few years back in the comics when I was first reading them. But there was a character in DC Comics, because I was more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. There was a character by the name of Wally West who is known to be as Kid Flash, or I think he was the Flash for a while, but he went back as being Kid Flash. So of course, he's a white character who's like a redhead as well. They changed his character from being white to black. It's that whole same argument. They're taking every character that you know growing up and they're changing it just to fit the times. But it's not just in the sake of the whole representation. It's just for the sake of trying to dismantle everything you know and wanting you to accept that. So in this case, trying to erase everything to do with white people, our history, our culture, even our own people for that matter. It's all part of that. It goes all the way back to that. Oh God, they aren't actually going to draw a bomb form, are they? Oh God. Like UKIP, the second they nearly one seat, people realized that there was actually a chance they could win. So voted for them getting 12% of the 2015 election vote. Once your party is mainstream, many people will vote for you. Exactly that. There's places in Scotland, like the little island, where you only need a few hundred votes to win the seat. Target these areas and make them the backbone of the movement. I agree. I actually do agree with that. It's like newspapers who's buying them. Exactly. I don't mind gay and bisexual characters in comics. They've been there since the 80s, but I don't like it being forced. I think that's a lot of people share that sentiment. It's not the fact that gay and bisexual characters are in these comics. It's more of the way they're being presented. Like it's literally just being like beating you over the head with that. Like, oh, this character is gay, this character is trans, this character is bisexual, and that's their entire character trait. Nothing else to that. In fact, there's a famous case with this. Again, this is going back to DC Comics, but there was a case of Kate Kane or Catherine Kane, whatever the character's name is, who in the comics is Batwoman. Now, she's a lesbian, and that's it. That's literally her entire character trait, is that she likes to eat the muff from time to time. She's a complete lesbian, and that's it. Nothing, no other character traits, nothing to get to know her or anything like that at all. She's only around because she is a lesbian. That's it. That's literally her entire character in a nutshell. And that seems to be the problem with the majority of these new characters coming into play, is that that's the only character trait they have, and that's it. Go vote and get bailed out $2 billion by Soros anyway. Exactly, Corona. Exactly. The Tran of Steel. Ah dear. The Scottish people are very patriotic, anti-immigration, but the only party really patriotic is the SNP, but most people don't support any of their degenerative policies. Yes, I agree with that, but there's the problem when it comes to the Scottish general elections, and I think when it comes to that here in Scotland, and in the viewpoint of the people voting SNP, the only reason why they would vote for SNP is mainly because, well, there's really no other party they would want to support. They don't want to support the Labour Party because they're cringe as fuck. They don't really want to support the Tories because, of course, up here in Scotland, there's a sentiment that regardless of where you stand when it comes to politics, everyone here in Scotland hates the Tories, regardless of what they do, whether it be something good or something bad. They hate the Tories, and that goes all the way back to the Margaret Thatcher era. From what I'm, of course, from what I've told by members of my family, of course. Rants from the mountains. Just needs a wheelchair and we'll be complete. Yes, complete with that diversity. His only kryptonite is looking fantastic. Super Soyman, yeah, I can definitely see that. This reminds me of that. Did you see that story of the American TikTok guy that died when he brought illegals over the border? Well, I did not see that, Kerr. I wonder, it reminds me of that. I've not seen that, Kerr. No, maybe that could be something I can have a look into with that as well. They want you dead, white man. Exactly. That's the point I was making or trying to make earlier on. Definitely that. John Kent works at BuzzFeed. Well, maybe not necessarily BuzzFeed within the DC Comics, but maybe something like BuzzFeed or anything like that at all. So, God, Superman got super... Lois used to be a nosy reporter. Now she's an uppity bitch. I think it just depends on who's writing the character or even how she's portrayed in other forms of media. But democracy doesn't exist. Well, I always thought democracy is nothing but a false god, but I guess that's the same thing. There was a comment in the chat that was by... Where are they? Hold on one second. Amanda Lee, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. I listened to the stream while doing that washing up, so won't join the chat yet in case I drop the phone in the sink. No worries. That I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Nobody politics is pointless now. Lois Lane is now obsolete. I was thinking UKIP, but Reform UK has a better chance of winning basically entirely every seat compared to UKIP. I could see that. Black Pill moment. Let me see. Where is on your feet? Lex Luthor. Jesus, Robin. Hey, Chief, how are you doing? Decided to quit the drinking. Time to get fit and realize our minds of degenerate release our minds of degenerate behaviors. On your feet. That's really good. Good to see that. I'm glad that you've decided to quit drinking. And I'm very glad to see that you're deciding to be a lot more fit and healthy with your life. And again, just keep doing that, and I guarantee you'll feel a lot, like 10 times better than what you were before with that. So again, really good to hear. Hopefully you continue on with that. Really good to hear that. Really, really am good to hear that. Geez, F everything they touch. Indeed they do. Degenerate Hooperman. Kryptonite is a spray can, please. A gay Asian with pink hair. P. Kalergi. Exile Viking, how you doing? Even Chief, even all. Sorry, I'm late. I just got in this instance. No worries, Exile Viking. Thank you very much for watching the show. Probably be Lois Bame. Oh dear. Let's see here. John Bent. Sprinkle kryptonite on my dinner now. Oh God. There was a comment I've seen earlier on. Where the hell is it? And it was by English Rose. Where the hell is that comment? It was a actually pretty good comment. Oh, there we go. Yes, because journalists are totally incorruptible and strong advocates for righteousness and morals, for goodness sake. Exactly. And just look at any journalists we see, even just today. Like, of course, they would never be corruptible or anything like that at all. So there we go. Good point, English Rose. Really good point. And that's if it can generate enough support in Scotland. I think PA only has one way of ever being successful, Of course, we talked about that just now with that, so that's good. Right, excellent. I think I'm up to date with this part of the chat, so let me have a look here and see what else has been said. Even Chief Moody and all chieftains. Thank you, Jack London. I appreciate that. Let me see. Superman has to use a kryptonite condom to ban, oh god almighty, regular chicks and boys who identify as women. I have a gay friend who hates woke stuff. That's the exact reason I believe Scotland is the best place that PA can gain power in, because there's no other alternatives. Exactly that. Which is why it's important for us to do more leafleting and, of course, letter picking and everything to do with that, of course, when it comes to PA Scotland. So we'll definitely continue a lot more with that. So look at North Star from Marvel. He was gay and did a better job with him. There you go. Like politics, Jim. Yes, it's stacked against us, the media, the economy, the two-party system, but it's not impossible if we work for it. Exactly that. The pause is strong. Superman will be tough enough to stop bullets, but not microaggressions. I hate people's attitude when they believe that something's impossible, so don't bother trying. Right, exactly. The report is spread out. Super Soy Man from the planet Kalergi. Oh dear. Let me have a look here and see. Thank you, Chief. No worries on your feet. No worries whatsoever. Do you believe in more power to the unions or less? Oh, that's a good question. Unions are a waste of time. I don't know if it maybe is a reference to that, but I'm not entirely too sure, to be honest with that. No, bro, in TV, she always talks down to people and chews out people for no reason. In the recent comics, Lois is a strong, assertive woman, not working with people. And I guess she must have left the Daily Planet or something like that. They tried to make Lois a feminist, and they successful and succeeded. Sadly, within the comics of DC, I remember they tried to do the same thing for Wonder Woman back in the 70s. Like they really tried to make her as like the feminist icon. It's so much so they made her into a complete feminist, but that failed completely miserably with that. So, sent you the story on Telegram, by the way, Chief. Thank you, Kerr. I just seen that as well. I'll definitely give that a read later on. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate you doing that. Dexcon, how you doing? Thank you very much for watching the show. P has a real chance of making ground in Scotland. Indeed it does. I do strongly believe that. There's nationalist sentiment there already, plus Third World is starting to pour in there. Yeah, I think we talked about comics or something. We were talking. I think we're slowly moving away from that now, but I was talking about the new Superman or John Kent in the DC comics becoming bisexual, which of course is not really much of a surprise at this point regarding to what's going on in the comic book industry. But anyway, are you a distributionist or other third economic position? I wouldn't call myself a socialist for obvious reasons, but I used to call myself a capitalist, obviously at a time when I was a CIFNAT, but I started to kind of realize that capitalism to me is just as bad as socialism, where it seems to focus on the financial gain, but basically fuck like the little guy working within the system kind of thing. So, and there was something that I think Mark even said at one point. I can't remember the actual thing he called it, but like I said, I'm not a socialist or a capitalist whatsoever. I think I would be like a third economic position, to be quite honest with you. Maybe something in the middle kind of thing with that. Because I do think that socialism is completely cringe and, of course, never works in any society. Whereas capitalism, you could say it does work, but it's almost just as bad as socialism in terms of taking advantage of, say, the people working in these type of job sectors and all of that. But anyway, P has no chance in my area, as despite it being mostly white, everyone's gothic or anti-white and everything, which is why there needs to be something else as a gateway to PA. Well, hopefully that may change one day, Jim. Hopefully someday that will be changed regarding to that. Hey, Chief, what superhero is your favorite? Oh, well, if I was still reading comic books regarding to that, what I'll do is with that, I'll split them up in separate like companies and all of that. So even though as I said, I don't read comic books anymore, I don't really watch the movies anymore. That I've just kind of lost interest. Although I've seen the trailer for the new Batman film coming out next year, which actually kind of piqued my interest, despite the fact I'm very skeptical about Robert Pattinson in the role as Batman, but hopefully he might play the part well, but we'll see. But when it comes to my favorite superhero growing up, whether it be when I was a kid or when I was a teenager reading comic books, I'll talk about when I was a teenager reading comic books, and I'll split it up, as I said, like company by company. So in terms of Marvel comics, I would say my favorite Marvel character or Marvel superhero would be Daredevil. I never really understood why Daredevil was my favorite. I mean, obviously, people like Spider-Man, X-Men, or like Wolverine, for instance, and all of that. But with a character like Daredevil, I've always kind of dug that character because, well, because how many superheroes do you know who are known for what they can't do? So we know that Superman, can fly. He has super strength. He's very fast. He has heat vision and all of that. Batman is like a billionaire philanthropist, but he has his own cave or bat cave. He's got like his gadgets and the Batmobile and all of that. A very well trained fighter, and he can swim up to like 8 or 10 minutes or something like that, depending on who's writing the character. But with a character like Daredevil, Daredevil's blind. He doesn't necessarily have superpowers per se, but even though in the 2003 Ben Affleck film, they try to make it out as if like he technically does have powers, as like he's almost like a human sonar, but the way I see it is that they're not really superpowers per se, but he just, because he's lost his sight, because he's blind, his other senses increase through his sense of hearing, his sense of taste, his sense of smell, especially his hearing, because him being a lawyer, he can tell when someone's lying to him when he could hear the person's heartbeat going really fast or something like that. But sorry, excuse me. But I've always really dug Daredevil as a character, especially I still, even to this day, really like the first couple of seasons of the Netflix show when it first came out. I've not seen season 3, or I've not even watched the Defenders miniseries, but from what I've seen, it was a really good show at the time, so really good stuff. In terms of DC, because that's Marvel, in terms of DC, man, that's really hard because it'd be easy to say, Batman or Superman or Aquaman or anything like that at all. Well, or Green Lantern or the Flash or Wonder Woman. But when it comes to DC, I've always dug more of like the lesser known characters, all like characters you don't normally see. You might see them in other forms of media, whether it be the cartoons or the TV shows, or maybe fairly recently they might make an appearance in certain live action films and whatnot. But I've always really dug like the more lesser known type of characters and all of that. But if there's one character from DC as my favorite, and I guarantee everyone in the chat will not know exactly who this character is, or maybe they might, but we'll see. But I've always really dug the character of Hawkman. Let me just show you like an image of this character, just so you know what I'm on about. Let's see. Because like I said, I guarantee no one will know in the chat who exactly I'm on about, but will be like a pretty badass image of the character. Hold on, let me see. Let me see here. Trying to find like a good type of. This might be all right. Let's see. This one. I'll share the screen right now and then see from here. But it's this character, Hawkman. He would be my favorite DC character. And it's mainly because this may be quite confusing because there's so many versions of this character. There are two particular versions that people know who read comics, especially when it comes to DC. But there's one version where he is Carter Hall. So he's like the ancestor of an Egyptian prince. Regarding to that origin, I think that's more like the Golden Age origin of the character. But then when they brought him back during the Silver Age, when that's more like, of course, the sci-fi era and whatnot, they tried to bring the character back as a Qatar Hall. So that would be a Katarhol, kind of like a play on words of Carter Hall, but Qatar Hall. And instead of being like a human, he was like a Thanagarian from the planet Thanagar, and he was more like a space cop, or like the Hawk Elite, if you will. So, like I said, it's kind of like a space cop for like Thanagar. And I've always kind of dug that version of the character because I've always seen him as like a poor man's Superman. So in this case, Superman has like a strong moral code. He would never kill anyone unless it's absolutely 100% necessary. He's always protecting people. You're smiling and whatnot, always saying take care or goodbye before he leaves. Hawkman is like the polar opposite, so much so that he should be like a supervillain and all of that. But anyway, I think I'm going on a bit further when it comes to this whole nerdy stuff when it comes to comics. But there's another character that would be my favorite in terms of like comic book characters. It would be Judge Dredd as another example, but that's it. So I would say it would be Hawkman, Daredevil, and Judge Dredd. Those would be my personal favorites. Hawkman is in a movie coming soon. He will be black. Don't even get me started on that. Yeah, he's going to be appearing in the new Black Adam movie with The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, I think. And they casted a jogger in the role of Hawkman, which I was just like, well, I was kind of a bit pissed off with it, but at the same time, it's like, well, why should I really care? I mean, that's not really like a major thing to really care about. There's other things in this world that people should care more of than, say, stuff in the media, like, say, comic books and all of that. So I just kind of thought, well, if that's what they're doing, then, whatever. I don't really give too much of a fuck anymore about that. So anyway, also, Daredevil has the minigun scene where he's screaming, "Oh God, what's happening? I'm sorry." Well, Egyptians wore black, to be fair. Okay. Fair enough. And also, welcome to the show. No chance. Thank you very much. Do you like Green Lantern? I used to read the Jeff Johns stuff. Well, that being Rebirth, and also I've read the second part of the Sinestro Corps War, which was pretty good. Never read Blackest Night or anything after that, but from what I've read, I did enjoy that. And of course, I'll say this: Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern, not the fucking John Stewart jogger Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern. I'll say that. The only Hawkmen that were any good were in Flash Gordon. Gordon's alive. Yeah, that's right. That was awesome. That. Which I'm surprised that they never got sued by DC, or maybe those characters came first, but there we go. So, oh well, fair enough. I like Constantine from DC. I used to like that character too. I used to read some of the Hellblazer stuff by Vertigo. I think I first started reading the Garth Ennis run with what was the name of the first arc? And I think it's Breaking the Habit or something like that. It's the storyline where John Constantine, and yes, folks, it's pronounced as Constantine, not Constantine, like all these other fucking douchebags, like all the fake nerds and whatnot call it. It's Constantine. Even in the comics, like in the Hellblazer comics, whenever someone says it as Constantine, it's written as like T-E-E-N to make the person sound like a complete fucking moron. And John Constantine will be the one to say, no, but it's not Constantine, it's Constantine. The word "tine" rhymes with fine or line. Even the character himself acknowledges that in the Hellblazer books, but then everything after that, and all the people talk about the character, is like, oh, it's John Constantine. It's like, no, it's Constant fucking Tine. Even the character says that, but anyway, sorry. I know it seems I'm getting all like sparking out over like like comic books and fictional characters, but anyway, so. Let me see. I damaged my hearing to improve my eyesight. Dear. Have you seen I've seen, like I said, I've seen the first two seasons. I've not watched Defenders or even the third season. From what I've heard about season 3, it's quite woke, to say the least, regarding to that. But anyway. Let me see here. Favorite super is the is the White Power Ranger. I wonder why that is. Batran and Rabba. Dear, third position, exactly, Moody, exactly that Dragon Energy. Let me see here. Just like with that, I think I'm all up to date with the chat. Someone actually, hold on one sec. River of Blood speech appealed to the nation and was unbelievably based. Well, even to this very day, it's still unbelievably based. I mean, just even what's going on now, the stuff that Enoch Power predicted, and looking at stuff what's going on today, was he wrong? Of course, he wasn't wrong. He was 100% correct in what he said back then with that speech. Mostly was based. Enoch weren't. Tarzan all day long. Someone actually made a point about Tarzan. Tarzan, he dealt with things correctly as I see it with my nan and granda most afternoons. Fair enough. Batman looks shite. Black Catwoman and Jim Gordon. Cringe Riddler. What's black, white, and dead all over. He's taking bullets at point blank range. No ninja shit. Don't watch Cape shit. Yeah. See, I'm still quite skeptical about the new Batman. I'll still check it out, but I don't think I'll be like in line like, oh, I need to watch this film like instantly. I think I'll just wait until it maybe comes out later on, but we'll see from there. Lego block capitalism is the problem, as are their foreign owners. There is nothing wrong with the company making a profit for its shareholders, providing it retains a duty of noblesse oblige. So, yeah, I can agree to that. Let me see. I think I'm all up to date with the chat as well. Shout out to the mods for reading all these comments. 14. Excellent. That's a pretty interesting answer. Also, Daredevil is a hero whose powers weren't given to him. His power is his handicap, and therefore he has to work where others don't. Another thing that's another thing when it comes to the character himself that I tend to like is that he's also like a major Catholic. In fact, the thing that I really liked about the Netflix show, but especially the first season, you know how if you're a Catholic, you go to your priest and you say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned and all of that. I think this line Matt Murdock says in the show perfectly sums up Daredevil as a character, where he goes up to the priest and he says, "Forgive me, Father, for what I have done. No, sorry, not for what I have done, but what I'm about to do." And that perfectly sums up that character in a nutshell, because he's a devout Catholic. He believes in in the teachings of Christ and all of that, especially being a Catholic. And the big irony of that is that he dresses up like a devil at night, fighting like criminals and thugs and whatnot. So, which is why I've always thought he was not only my favorite Marvel character, but he was my favorite. An interesting character to see, at least with that. So, let me see here. Chief Moody / all question. Does Hollywood churn out superhero films as this is the one narrative that nobody can be offended with and can give roles to more non-whites and appeal to low IQ plebs? Well, I think it's mostly like Marvel that just churning out like film after film. In fact, I think that I actually cannot remember how many movies there are with Marvel Studios, but there are a lot. But I think in terms of the big Hollywood picture, they do see them as like a big money-making profit, whether it be based on a comic book, whether it be Marvel or DC or none of those two companies being Image or Dark Horse. If they can make money because they're based off of a comic book, then people will go and will see it and whatnot. So I think it does play a bigger factor of they're trying to appeal to like the minorities and whatnot by casting non-whites in these mostly white characters in these roles, but She-Man and the Masters of the Jew. Oh dear. Ugly truth. Chief, so much superhero stuff, you nerd. I know. Like I said, I used to be like a big time comic book fan, mostly DC and all of that, but I'm more kind of leaning towards away from that stuff anyway, because I think at this point it should be more recognized as something for kids in this case. Like, I think it's really silly to trying to appeal it to like a much older demographic with this type of genre being the superhero genre and whatnot. Wasn't Jessica Jones another propaganda exercise for white female / black male relationships? All those Marvel TV series were terrible. Well, to be fair, I think that's something that was mainly from the comics anyway. The relationship between Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, that's always been there in the comics. But yeah, even just looking back at that, obvious it's a clear propaganda piece for like promoting biracial relationships and whatnot. So let me see here. Probably be rerun as Judge Dreadlock. We was judges and she. No, sorry. Well, we was the law and she. Geez, I had the first issue of 2000 AD. Wish I'd kept it. Well, to be fair, I think you can still have that back when it comes to like the old, well, fairly recent Judge Dredd case files, especially the first volume, which I think I've still got the first 2 volumes of those Judge Dredd books. Basically, it's like a way of like retelling these classic Judge Dredd stories all in chronological order when they were first released back in the old imprints of 2000 AD. I know there's other books like Strontium Dog. There's stuff like Rogue Trooper and all of that, ABC Warriors and all of that. But I still got the first 2 volumes of the Judge Dredd case files, which are still pretty decent with that. And I still remember the first page of the first volume, where it's the first appearance of Judge Dredd, and I think this first panel really sets the tone for the rest of the Judge Dredd comic, where there's a character who a civilian who's going to attempted to jump off of like a bridge or whatnot and attempt to kill himself, and then Judge Dredd comes along with his law rider or whatever you want to call it, like motorcycle, and he's like, "Whole citizen, it is illegal to drop litter on the streets." Basically, it still has that like a sense of like black humor within the Judge Dredd comics, but like I mean like really dark sense of humor and also a dark sense of satire without the comics. But anyway, so let me see. Was it David Ames was a staunch Catholic? Where was his God to protect him? Dear, not entirely sure. If that's true, then how do you know? Well, just like a guess really with that, or maybe a sense of belief in that. But does Warlord Peter Lord Flint count? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with that. So let me see here. Pirate Batman Chief. I remember seeing something like that like a while ago. I think that was something that happened like post Final Crisis, or from what I remember to that. But anyway, being patriotic isn't an arrestable offensive, though. It certainly isn't. There's nothing wrong with being patriotic to your own country. Absolutely not. Sasha Johnson thought she was faster than speed. Oh my God. Dear. Let me see here. Do you like manga? I used to like well, same thing with comic books. I used to like manga and all kinds of. I used to also like anime, but I tend to realize that at some point that anime and not all manga, but some manga are very degenerate in nature regarding to that. So I just really pretty much just stopped. Although when it comes to manga, I'm going to be honest with everyone here with this. There's only one series I'm currently reading just now in terms of like a manga, besides all the newer nationalist books I tend to be reading just now. Well, technically there's like 2 mangas. One manga I do recommend people checking out, and I'm not entirely too sure if people have heard of this series before, but the author of this series recently died early this year, back in May or June, and that series is called Berserk. Now, Berserk, I'll even show an image of it here one sec, but Berserk is actually one of the... I may make fun of anime and manga from time to time and all of that, but if there is one manga series I highly recommend people checking out for people to read, and I know it might be a bit confusing because of the whole right to left perspective when it comes to reading any form of manga for that matter, but Berserk is one of the few manga works where I would highly recommend people read, because It truly is like an absolute masterpiece for people to check out. I'll even show you the image as well, just to make sure. This one I'm referring to. This series, and I've read many comics in the past, like Watchmen and all of that. I will honestly put my hands down and say Berserk is an absolute masterpiece. Even if you don't like manga or anything like that at all, but I highly recommend you checking this out. It's a dark fantasy series that if you thought Game of Thrones was meant to be like dark and not depressing but very violent and gory or anything like that, or even has very strong sense of adult maturity to it, this series Berserk makes Game of Thrones look like, I don't know, Thomas the Tank Engine or the Teletubbies or whatnot, because this series does deal with a lot of really heavy themes in terms of its mature subject matter. But it's not like, well, okay, maybe like the first few chapters, like in terms of the violence and all of that, it's like violence and sexual for the sake of it, or just to be like look cool and edgy. But the more you read it, you realize that it's not violent or sexual in the sense of, well, in terms of the violence, it's not violent for the sake of being violent. Like the more you read that, it's violent because it serves the plot, it serves the story, it serves of how hopeless this world of Berserk really is. And it is a very mature book as well, which is why I say it's very sexual, because there's kind of two sexual moments when it comes to Berserk. There's this type of degenerate, perverted, evil sex you would see in the series, and this book really doesn't hold back when it comes to sexuality either, by the way. But there's also the type of sexual stuff in this book that happens. It's like sex because it's love kind of a thing. And I don't want to spoil anything that happens because it is a long series. I think there's about, currently speaking, 40 or 41 volumes of this book. And I think it's still being published to this day, despite the fact the author, Kentaro Miura, has passed away, which is very shocking news. But when it comes to that series, I highly recommend people checking that. It's not like your standard or typical manga / anime series you might know if you know that type of stuff. It really is its own thing, a very unique sense of work. Hell, there's even people who don't necessarily read manga or even watch anime on a daily basis, but they will say, "Oh, I love Berserk. It's one of the best series ever to be published," in their opinion. So hopefully that may cover that. So 1 second, just want to also update with the chat here real quick. Thundercats as I play on the Thundercats with that. So let's see here. Dennis the Menace and Nasher, classic Forces. Oh, is that one of the songs of Berserk? Yeah. Speed Racer, the original. Yeah, that was a really old series. But Wacky Races, that again another old series. Gay Superman Lex Luthor will use rainbow kryptonite to make Superman cut. Oh, oh dear. There's a good Japanese cartoon series called Titans. Is that meant to be a short version of Attack on? No, what Attack on Titan? I've heard of that series. I know that's meant to be really popular, but Berserk makes Game of Thrones look like Teletubbies low. I've seen season 8. That's not much of a claim. Well, to be fair, I've only seen the first season. No, I've seen the first season of Game of Thrones, and I've watched maybe the first 4 episodes of season 2, but then I just stopped. It just really wasn't my cup of tea, to be honest with you, with that. So I did try watching Game of Thrones, but because I've heard many people talking about how it's like one of the best shows ever, one of the best HBO shows ever since The Sopranos, which that in itself is quite a claim to make. But anyway, there we go. So let's see. I think that's all up to date with the chat as well with that. So excellent. Might be completely different than what we normally talk about when it comes to topics and whatnot. In fact, what was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh, Insulate Britain. I think I'll cover that in Thursday's episode, but I think we've I think we're slowly or surely approaching to the end of the show tonight anyway with that, so for God's sake. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, so another topic I was going to talk about tonight was about insulate Britain, but I think because we've covered the whole Superman story tonight, and we talked about other things that may kind of tie into that in this case with like other like comics and whatnot. So um anyway, so I think what I'll do now, folks, is I will end the stream just now. I think there's another stream going on tonight. I think Mark's going to be live streaming later on. Where are we all heading after the show? I'll have a look at that just a second, Dragger Energy, because I think Mark is streaming after tonight's show. Because he posted something earlier on. I think he posted it on his Telegram channel, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Where is it though? Hold on. Live at 5 p.m. Don't miss it. Oh, thanks, Mark. Excellent. Let me see. Demon's Crest Super Nintendo, as it's the month of October. I have chosen Demon's Crest and the Super Nintendo with that. Join me this evening at 7 p.m. UK time on Odyssey as I attempt to play through the entire game in one sitting without dying. So yes, after this, if you're interested in video games, of course, Mark will be live streaming at 7 p.m. tonight on Odyssey. He's going to be playing Demon's Crest, which is I think it's like a bit of a classic on the Super Nintendo. But if you're interested in that, I'll post a link in the chat for you just now if you want to check that out at this point in time. Got the link for Mark's I Do Indigenous Advocate. I'll just post it right here. There we go. Perfect. Because the news is against you, it's hard to find information except through friends. Well, there we go. Perfect. Game of Thrones is better. Streaky bacon. Anyway, cool. So there's this link for Mark's stream at 7 p.m., which will be, of course, in 4 minutes' time. So head over there just now. And please, if you go in the chat with that just now, please let them know that I've sent you, of course, after the show. So what I'll do now is I will computer games, no thanks. Well, there you go. I'm not a fan of watching people playing video games. Again, fair enough. That's just a stream for people to watch afterwards if they want to, but there we go. So the thing what I'll do now, folks, is that I will end the show this very moment. I shall be back on Thursday, which will be the... Oh, shit, I didn't even do a film review tonight. Screw it. I'll even see if I can try and do that on Thursday, but we'll definitely see from there with that. And that's going to be Thursday, the 21st of October. So I shall see you all then. And in that episode, it will be from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. Maybe finish before then. It just depends on how tired I am on that day, because obviously I'll be working out before then during that day. But we'll definitely see when the time comes. So I hope you all have enjoyed tonight's stream. It might be slightly different than normal. Mostly it's just talking to everybody in the chat as well. But again, I hope you've all enjoyed tonight's stream for this evening. So what to do now is I will see if I can find a closing song to end us out with. And I wonder what to play at the moment, so let me see. Okay. Let's see here. Get some music and then see what one to play. So I see everyone in the chat is typing in 14, and of course, great stream, which again, I really appreciate that. Thank you all very much. Play Jack White. All right, let me have a look here for a minute. I don't know if I've heard of that before, but let's have a look and see. All right. Actually, I think there was one song I was going to play. I should have put this in the music playlist, but where did I save this? Was it in the watch later section? Hold on. There it is. Right, let me see here. Because there was a song I was going to put in my music playlist, but I just keep forgetting to do so. But let me see if I can find it in this playlist for you guys. Where is it? Is this one? Right. Okay. Don't normally play this song, but I thought maybe just for something a bit different, I'll play this here at the moment. So let me see here. Yeah, that should be all here with that. Okay. Oops. Let me play that. Hold on. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, that Jack White. Right. Okay. Let's see here. Right. Okay. I'll see if I can play one of his songs, and then we'll see from there. Any particular song you guys want to listen, or anything like that at all? So, yeah, Jack White. Oh no, Moody, mate, come on, no. But you're right. Okay, so let's have a look and see. Just also have a quick look at the chat and see. When Enoch said they'd outbreed us, and when Churchill said they breed like rabbits, they were right. You know, they absolutely were right. Yep, that's it. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, so I'll just play any song just for that when it comes to Jack White. Hopefully, this might be all right in this case. So, like I said, I'll see you guys on Thursday with episode 35, I think. I can't believe it was almost 35 episodes already, but there we go. Hopefully, enjoy tonight's stream. I shall see you on Sunday. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching the show. You have been watching myself, Chief Moody, on the Mood of the Nation podcast, and I shall see you on Thursday at 6 p.m. Until then, take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, and take care. Bye-bye.
You-know-who's your band of lose. They got those hooks in good, they're in the White House. Took the banks and all the tubes, and if you had the IQ, well, you might recognize the clues and ask the cuckoo question. But it's taboo. It's a hidden in plain sight. But if you opened up your eyes, you'd see they're right, Lord, over you. And you might change your mind. You might change your point of view. You might change your point of view about the cuckoo who too busily crewing, pushing out the brood. Bit off more than it could chew on when the cuckoo flew the coop. Tweeting so fearful, but the cuckoo wouldn't move when that eagle came a-swooping in. They're hidden in plain sight, but if you opened up your eyes, you'd see they ain't so wide at all. And you might change your mind. You might change your point of view. You might change your point of view about him.